Robinson. I am the orchard manager at the Scott Farm. Scott Farm in Dummerston, Vermont has been in production for almost 100 years. The Scott Farm is over 570 acres, with 18 of that is heirloom apples and other fruit varieties such as peaches, plums, pears, and stone fruit. In May we had a freeze on May 18th where the temperature went down to 25 degrees when the trees were at a very vulnerable stage of bloom and fruitlet set, and it in turn knocked out 90% of our apple crop. The fruit we do have was all dependent on what stage of bloom and growth it was in when the freeze happened. We are in the Thompson block today, showing an example of a tree that I did have fruit on this season with a freeze. This is Orleans Renette. It was in full bloom when we had the freeze on May 18th and has successfully produced a nice looking crop with just a touch of russet from the frost damage. Here we have a Macintosh tree directly next to the Orleans Renette with the crop. This was further along in its fruitlet stage, and due to the freeze we do not have a single apple. So barren tree, fruitful tree, 10 feet apart. So most of our orchard, it was top grafted onto an existing Macintosh orchard, Macintosh Empire. This is a good example of the top graft work where there is an Orleans Renette variety next to a Macintosh variety. The Macintosh did not survive the freeze. Any fruit that did start growing stunted out at about a golf ball size. But this limb is Macintosh and the rest of the tree is Orleans Renette. So these are some apples I've had the guys pick for cider specifically. It's a really great example of how ginger gold, this variety, versus Sansa, the different type of damage they had from the freeze. Ginger gold has this really funky kind of Edward Scissorhands reaction, whereas Sansa has a pretty classic frost string, which is just this russeted ring. And all these apples were picked specifically to make our sweet cider.